We shall go to the grand finale that is going to be led by three stalwarts who are going to showcase the most difficult cases. The first to lead is Dr. Shubhra Goel. Dr. Shubhra is a consultant ophthalmic plastic surgeon from Apollo Hospitals, Hyderabad, and she's also the director and co-founder of the Foresight Worldwide Limited and Bricks Impact Partners. Let's hear from you, Dr. Shubhra.
Thank you so much, ma'am. A very good evening and a warm evening to each and everyone, to my fellow colleagues, friends, and my seniors. And thank you so much for having me on this wonderful webinar. Been a great learning experience. So I was asked to present the most difficult case, which was kind of difficult to decide which was the most difficult case, but I'm going to present something which I thought was difficult in understanding and in my hands, and took a lot of time, not so much in terms of dealing with it scientifically, but because of the other issues involved in that. So I'll be just, going through that. Okay. Yeah. So the first case is about a girl who is around 30-35 years old. I'm sorry for this picture because she's not asked me to reveal full face, so I have to crop it and show it in a very unmanly manner. But she had dermal fillers which were injected on her at least 3 times in a year. Now, the first time she got injected was on her chin, and she kind of tolerated those injections pretty well. And the second time it was done when I was training certain students, and she was one of the subjects, and she kind of volunteered that she could be injected upon for her tear trough and mid cheek area. And everything went well on table and during the session, as they may say, and we were all happy that we have achieved great results. But to my surprise, after at least 6 to 8 months, this girl turns up and calls me up and reminds me that she was the one who was treated during the training session, and now she's having this issue where she has a lot of pain and edema on the left side of her face, and she has been going from one place to another. So what was happening to her is that she was having waxing and waning symptoms on her left side, where there was swelling followed by pain. And she also had as if some ants or insects were crawling under her skin. Now, to my surprise, what had happened is because she was going from place to place, she was given all kinds of treatments, including she had gone to a gynecologist because somebody told her that it could be related to some gynec issues, which was very surprising, to trigeminal neuralgia, which she was treated on, and she went literally in depression. Obviously, when she presented, she had a painful swelling on the left side. It was almost like a cellulitis on the left side, and the right side also there was periocular fullness and pain. So obviously we went ahead, and the first thing which we did is to dissolve the whole product with hyaluronidase, and it took me at least 3 months to dissolve the whole products, put her on medications, which was the steroid coverage and antibiotics, to take care of the edema, the swelling, the waxing waning symptoms, and the pain which was involved with it. So I will just hold on the case here because I'll come to the discussion at at a later stage. Now, this is why this is being chosen as one of the difficult cases, because this is what you see me here. This is my face, which is unrecognizable. So I went ahead with the skin hydration fillers on my face, and this is what I landed up after 3 months of my fillers. Initially, I couldn't understand this. I thought I'm hypothyroid and I'm having periocular fullness, and this is what I landed up. Though I was not having any pain, it was just a painless full face anasarca kind of a thing, generalized edema on my face. And obviously I realized that it is related to dermal fillers, and I took some steroids, and I didn't dissolve the products. I just they took some steroids and they resolved on their own. So these are one of the two, out of the whole list, there are 2 cases which I wanted to present. So I want to bring the focus to, edema, which happens post dermal fillers, which is often overlooked, because what is happening in the filler industry is that people are not understanding that this is a medical device which is being given. It's equal to the medical device, and it's injected on the face, and there are a lot of things which can happen as a delayed reaction. So something like post-interventional edema, Meller edema, we all understand. Even the immediate, kind of hypersensitivity reaction, the type 1 reactions, we understand, and they're easy to handle. But the problem comes when we have the delayed type of hypersensitivity reaction, which is type 4, which can happen anywhere between days to months to years. I have even seen one patient who presented after 2 years of injections of hyaluronic acid fillers, and the same story was, was existing. So why does this happen is because now the incidence of these kind of reactions is around 0.02 to 4%, which has been documented in literature. Definitely depends upon the type of filler, the way the filler was injected, and at what depth was it injected. And what has been noted is that the Y-cross technology is causing it more than the hyalocross technology. But the reports are varied. So we cannot really pinpoint at one product or one kind of cross-linking which is causing this, but delayed hypersensitivity reactions are pretty common. And the interesting part is that it is not necessary for the same individual to get the reaction every time, because obviously we understand this is T cell mediated reactions which are happening. So the problem now is how do we deal it, because it becomes quite painful, quite depressing for the patient. Now, when it happened to me, obviously I was also shocked to see what had happened to my face, but I could handle it. But for the patient, it is not easy. And believe me, it is a long haul where you have to treat the patients and they stay with you for months together. So the consensus has been, as apart from taking all the proper precautions, which is being mentioned in the 20-point plan for avoiding the hyaluronic acid filler complications by Zolda et al., which is a beautiful paper, and I would recommend everyone to have a look at it. The most important thing is that you need to be with the patient in this journey. And every case of delayed hypersensitivity, unless until proven otherwise, is a case of biofilm or granuloma or inflammatory nodules. So we cannot really differentiate between inflammatory in the biofilm or a delayed hypersensitivity reaction alone until unless proved otherwise. So we have to treat it that way. So whether, the protocol which goes ahead is that as soon as we receive the patient, the first most thing is to dissolve the product, have multiple settings. So you have to dissolve with hyaluronidase under the steroid cover. And this has to be done multiple times, because what happens is once the filler is inside, it kind of forms a coating around it, a fibrous coating, and it keeps traveling along the septae. So if you dissolve it one area, it would, come to the other area because it had always transferred through the septae. That's why the waxing and waning happens. And then we have to enter the antibiotics in forms of ciprofloxacin, clarithromycin. I usually give clarithromycin, which has to be given for up to even 6 weeks, if not 3 weeks. And then you have to have a close follow-up with these patients. So in short, I just want to comment upon that dermal fillers are, yes, they're fascinating and to be given on faces for facial rejuvenations, but we need to be ready with so this is one of the complications amongst the many other, which are, we usually talk about the vascular complications of fillers, but not about the delayed hypersensitivity as much. And once a patient has had an hypersensitivity, is always going to have a hypersensitivity sooner or later. So even if that client is coming back for repeat injections, it has to be consented and told that this can happen, and it is better to have them under the steroid and antibiotic cover, even if you're going ahead and taking them, giving them a repeat injection. So I would rest my case here, and I'm, open to take the questions from the panelists.
Wonderful, Dr. Shubhra. The expert panel, you have questions to ask?
Hi, Shubhra.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, Milind.
Shubhra, Milind here. Have you seen this happening with patients who have borderline thyroid disorders also?
Like, I'm a hypothyroid patient. I'm a frank hypothyroid patient. It happened to me, but not necessarily. I think it could be because, finally it is a T cell mediated CD4 related, it's an immune reaction which is happening. The first girl who developed this reaction actually had iridocyclitis in past. So iridocyclitis was present in this lady, which was not looked upon. And, usually when we are giving fillers, we don't ask such history of uveitis, iridocyclitis, or any kind of immune generated reactions in the body, which was also a take home or a learning experience for me, that we need to have these histories in place, apart from thyroid or any other disorders, or even, the autoimmune disorders, for example. We know that autoimmune disorders are relative contraindications for dermal fillers, but something like as trivial as iritis, which I wouldn't, we never ask such questions. is important to take, very, very important to take. And later I found out that she also had some issues with her, so she had generalized autoimmune reactions happening in her body sooner or later, like, in some form or the other. So yes, to your question, thyroid could be related. There is no proven data for it right now. But yes, if you are having thyroid or even diabetes for that matter, I think patients are prone for delayed hypersensitivity reactions. But what I have seen most often is it depends upon the technology, the Vycross versus the Hyalocross technology, which is more differentiating. So I haven't seen as much delayed hypersensitivity reactions with Hyalocross as I have seen with Vycross. So that is what is happening. I think that is what we are looking at. And yeah, I think that's what I want to say about this.
Well, I've seen occasionally that these patients, when you do a BLEF, if they've received a filler earlier and when you do a BLEF, their response, tissue response can be more than normal. So I'm guessing that these things continue and trickle down years after the filler is in.
Yes, in fact, I saw a very interesting case, and I think Francesco had also presented it that, if you are giving periocular fillers, especially the tear trough, not even periocular, if anything in the upper part or the mid face, if it is given, you can have patients coming back after 4 to 5 years with sausage-like deformities along the upper lid and the lower lid, which can be present. So yes, I think what we are looking at is a delayed hypersensitivity reaction or a retention of a filler in a very strange manner, even after 5 to 6 years of the filler being given, even though it was minimal amount which was given, because none of us are going to inject huge amount of fillers in these areas anyways.
But the one you did for me is doing well. I'm fine.
I'm glad. Thank you. I'm looking forward to
I have
that.
a question for Milind and Shubhra.
I think we should move on because there are 2 more speakers. Sorry, very sorry, Dr. Lakshmi. Maybe we can take that question in the end.